Welcome back from hiatus. I've been back in the UK for a couple of months now, so there's plenty to catch up on. But before I left, I had the opportunity to catch up one last time with Ben and Sarah Dooley. If you follow the channel for a while, you know I visited these guys a couple of times to get a better feel for sheep farming the Kiwi way. The Dooleys will be well through lambing by now, but back when I visited in August, things were just gearing up for their busiest period. The preparation now will pay dividends in the coming weeks if they get it right. And of course, Ben has plenty to say on how to do that. Ben also has his own YouTube channel with a very respectable following, so if you're not already plugged into that, go and have a look. First, in the older mob of ewes, there's a patient to check up on. There are also a couple of early lambs earlier than expected. Okay, yeah.
So these ewes have all done 13, 14, 16, 14 I've gone over. They've done 5 lambings.
Yeah.
They've reared their own lamb every year, completely unassisted.
Oh, hang on, just get my seat cover.
You might just shut this in behind us.
Cheers, mate. Yeah, these are like your A mob, if you like. Is that right? Do you call them the A mob?
They are, but they're also all work sheep.
They're all what? Sorry.
All work sheep.
Oh, yeah, okay.
They're aging out.
Oh, so these are, the first time I came, they'd be the ones equivalent of what you were weaning, weren't they?
That's right. Last year we didn't bother with the Romney side of it.
No, they did the south down.
They're probably some of our best genetics, definitely for longevity anyway.
So it's interesting that, because that debate between, like on the dairy side, you keep replacing like your heifers, because you've got fastest genetic gain. And they'll say, oh no, we've got the genomics of the to tell who's got the best longevity. Oh, and longevity isn't that important, is what they'll say. Whereas in the beef cattle, they're like tossing up, should we do that, or should we, proofs in the pudding, be selecting replacements out of cows, 5 and above or something. I don't know, I think even if you can make on the dairy side, even if you can make the argument that from a production economic point of view, it's not that important for longevity. I always think like the cow lasting 2.5 lactations is never a great, it doesn't feel very right, does it? Like, so we're back with Ben. So, welcome.
How we going?
Now we're just about to have a look at some earlies of Ben's, but we've got a little patient here, Ben. We've got a project.
Yeah, so we jabbed these girls. When I say jab, we pre-lamb vaccinated and gave a sort of semi-long-term drench, a 35-day injectable drench. 2 days ago, that was way down the bottom of the farm, hunted them up here. Took their time, but it's still quite a wee walk. And there were 3 were down the next morning. Okay. So down meaning groggy. What we normally look for is ears forward. If we see the ears down, sort of hanging down and forward, we'll treat them. They're often up walking around at that stage, but these girls were past that. So 2 of them are up and gone, they're away. Don't know where they are, they're happy though. This girl, she's an old girl. She's a bit lighter. And they're all old girls, aren't they? Because most of these ones, all of those ones are. Yeah. Most of these ones are old. They're olds and lights. We know they probably don't have another year in them. Yeah. Now this girl yesterday morning, she had froth coming out of her mouth. She looked dead. I'm surprised when I got there that she had any signs of life at all, but she did. So we gave her 120 mils of ketol. Yes. And then, I don't know what the correct procedure is, but according to our local vet, administered, I think about 100 mils of glucophos. Yes, which is like an IV bag. It's got some glucose, it's got some phosphorus in it. Yeah. A few goodies. Literally right here, he reckons, around the intestine. Okay, under the skin. Yeah, well, straight in around the intestine, he reckons. And under the skin doesn't seem to work that well for sheep, and obviously veins, a vet might be able to find the vein. A farmer trying to find the vein, I'm just not even going to attempt it. I don't want the poor sheep to go through that. But yeah, she's had the same again yesterday afternoon and this morning. Yeah. But it's just those back legs. She's just weak. Yeah, and obviously this one is quite a light ewe. Yeah, so she's not fat anyway. No, definitely not. She's got twins in her. Yeah, so. But she's moved on her own from there with no pressure. Like It's not like I've been standing here and made her.
No. She's tried to, and was that an improvement from what she's been like?
Oh yeah, she was on death's door yesterday morning.
So there you go. So she's had. It's interesting that, like, you know, you could easily have this concept of New Zealand agriculture, especially sheep farming, and I think it probably is like this in some other places where they're basically unshepherded. You know.
Yeah.
This isn't like that. She's had some decent treatment. You know, she's got sick. She's having treatment, and yeah, she's not just chucked in the dead hole.
No, absolutely not.
No?
Look, we do sort of push on the easy care side of things. Where last year we made the decision, we went down to going around once a day. That's not a hard and fast rule. That just depends on what the season's bringing. But we had a warm, sunny, windy lambing last year, and driving around these ewes in the middle of the afternoon in a hot, sunny day is just a nightmare. There's lambs camped everywhere, and you just upset everything.
Yes, yeah.
But we do still go around once a day. The biggest thing for us is casting.
Yeah, and by casting, we actually saw that in another video, didn't we?
Yes,
and you know, fat ewes on their backs, often in full fleece, not always.
So these early girls are shorn.
Yeah.
We've done that to save money. We belly crutch them in May.
Yeah.
And then we'd have to shear them again in late October.
And
what we decided this year was if we just shore them in May, well, it wound up being end of June, that actually they're going to have a short enough length of wool that we can send them to the works in November. So it saved $3 a head on these ewes.
Yeah.
Our other ewes are woolly though, and they cast like crazy. We're breeding a sheep that looks after themselves.
Yes.
The whole easy care system.
Yes.
The problem that arises from the easy care system is if you put easy care sheep, if you breed for purely easy care sheep for say 10 or 15 years, and you don't do a lambing beat, and then you start trying to do one, you upset everything.
Upset everything.
The ewes are crazy. So there's a bit of a scoring system over here where they measure how far away the ewe goes when you grab her lambs.
Yes.
And I've always thrown off at that going, that is a stupid idea. I don't care how far away she runs, as long as she comes back.
Okay. And
our ewes, well, if I'm here on a cold day putting a set of covers on covers on a set of twins, she'll be at the top of the hill.
Yeah.
She'll be looking at me, she'll be bleating, she'll be stamping, and then I'll walk away from the lambs and she'll come roaring back down the hill. She'd get a poor maternal score.
Okay.
Even though she's actually really maternal.
She's just wary of you.
Flighty.
And you're a big bloke.
Well, there's that too. But if Sarah did it, the same thing would happen.
Yes, yeah. And that's very interesting. And because, of course, at home, easy care is like a defined, not composite, I guess. So there's easy care TM, but we're talking more about the system here, right? It could be any type of sheep, really.
We're talking about a sheep that looks after themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, everything's a trade-off, but where I was sort of going with that is that we've got these people on these hills around here. Like obviously our country here is easier to do. The hills over on the horizon, you can't do a lambing beat on that country.
No.
You can't get around it. Up the top over there, the same deal. The lower down stuff you can, but they're the places these sheep have been bred for.
Yes.
And for them it works. Yes, this ewe would fall by the wayside.
Yeah.
But if we didn't have easy care sheep, there'd be a lot more ewes that would do the same thing with lambing issues and everything else.
So talking about easy care ewes, what are we going to do with this girl? When did she get her last jabs?
I am going to ask you that question. We probably persevere with them a bit longer than we should sometimes, and often they will get up. Yeah. We are a bit suspicious that they will wind up dead before they wind up at the works anyway. But you can't just leave the girl there.
No, you absolutely can't.
Like, looking at how much she's pricked up there, unless you have a reason not to being a vet, I was going to give her another 120 mils of ketol. Yes. And then by, say, tonight, if she's looking like she's improved, we might have another go. I don't know. But if she looks like she's gone back downhill, then we might just put the girl out of her misery. I think, look, I'm not Ben's vet. Like, Ben uses a different practice, so I always defer to, what's your vet's name? Vetco. Vetco, yes. Yeah, anyone, you'll have a few guys there I'm sure you'll speak to. Yeah. So always defer to them. To me, that seems like a very sensible course of action. If one of my clients did that, I'd say, seems very sensible. I mean, if they get really bad and they down and they look like they're imminently going to die, what you can do is actually induce them and take the loss of the lambs. Whether use perhaps worth a bit more or worth significant amount, and you can say, right, if these lambs come, they're alive, brilliant. If not, it's about saving you at least. And I hate to bring economics into it, but ultimately they have to sort of be there to a degree. Yeah. With what we're looking at this year, that ewe at the works might be worth $60, and I'm thinking to get a vet to come out and do that's probably going to cost me $250. Yeah. No, exactly. So no, it has to work on all fronts, really. It does. Right. Okay. No, I think that sounds very sensible. Right.
Look, she's heard the vet's here, yeah. And she's like, no, quick. Oh yeah. So Ben, this is the same paddock we've just been in looking at that sick ewe, but these ewes, which are this? What is this mob?
These are they're our early mob, and they're early for a reason. We're going to kill 200 of them in the end of November.
Okay.
They're aging out, or they're ewes that we know haven't got another year in them. There's 270 in total. Yes. So the other 70, what we're going to do, we're going to pick through those ewes. We're going to keep that last 70.
Yeah.
And they'll just go with the other ewes when we'll do our main weaning, get everything shorn, we mow the nutter. So there's a fair chance that other 70 are going to go as well.
Okay.
The risk is if we kill them, and then we find out we're still going to kill another 300 after that, we won't get our numbers for the following year. So,
and these, we were just saying that these girls will be the equivalent of that very first video I came and did with you.
Yes,
this is like the equivalent of last year.
Yep.
You were weaning those early lambs, and they were put to the South Down, weren't they?
That's right.
Whereas this year they've gone to the Romney.
It's just that first paddock gone to the Romney.
Oh, first paddock's gone to the Romney.
So these ones here, there were 2 South Downs and a Polled Dorset put out with them.
Yeah,
just playing around to see if there's a benefit either way with those 2 breeds. But as you can see, like, some of these ewes are quite light, but the majority of them are actually in reasonable nick.
Yeah, like I suppose the one we looked at that was a bit light, but yeah, there's some fatties here.
There's some light ones in there, there's some fat ones in there. These were the tail end that walked up the hill, so that paddock's better.
Those are the strong ones. These are the stragglers.
Yeah, these are the stragglers.
Fair.
So you notice, still filming there?
Yeah.
Notice the covers in here are quite high.
Yeah.
You notice as you go around the rest of the farm that the covers just get lower and lower and lower. We need good covers for these girls because the grass isn't really growing yet.
No.
So they're going to have probably 15, 20 days on these paddocks before we even start seeing much growth.
And like you say, it looks good in here. So but farm in general, compared to most years, average
very tight.
Very tight.
We normally don't.
But you're always very tight.
No. Normally, last year we had grass coming out of our ears at this time of year. Yeah. So this girl here that's got the lambs, actually, you can see she's got the blue mark on her back.
Yeah, so she's woolly as well, isn't she? So she's one of these that's been caught by the ram lamb.
She's one of the ones that was by our ram lamb. So a bit of
your own home breeding, the own stud ram.
Yeah, no.
They must be.
I'm just going to move away a wee bit.
Yeah, sure.
She's not very happy with us being.
No, we'll just get out of the way. For one of the themes this year for New Zealand sheep farming has been rotational grazing, right? But it's obvious in here they're not tightly packed as they might normally be. So why spread them out?
So for 9 months of the year, rotational grazing is the absolute key to the New Zealand system.
Yeah. I'm
yet to see someone get lambs to grow any good on a rotational system when they're on mum. Lots of people have tried, no one's really had any success. So we just accept that for two months of the year, realistically, we have them spread out.
Yeah.
And then through sort of late November, December, we will get a bit rotational with them, but it won't be a big mob paddock to paddock.
Yeah.
It'll be, you might have a mob and 10 paddocks.
Yes.
But you might have two of the paddocks getting a spell at any one time.
I think there's issues with mismothering as well if you had them too tight, or do you think they'd be okay?
At a young age, absolutely. Yeah. It would be an absolute disaster. Like our ewes aren't quite as quiet, I guess you'd say, as a lot of British ewes are.
Yeah.
They don't like human interaction. Some people get away with it with the singles and shooting out.
Yeah, okay.
But no, not the twins.
It's in here, so you can see, like, even a non-farmer will be able to see there's a little bit, would you call it damage or just impact, animal impact here? So
there was a lot of grass in here when the ewes come in here.
Yeah.
Like 3,000 cover.
And there's almost like still quite a lot of grass.
There is, and it will freshen back up.
Yeah.
The reason I want to stop here is because the mob of Tudus over there we're going to see, they did this.
Yeah, okay.
Then there's that paddock up there.
The brown one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is our winter grazing on crop, which is a very controversial subject because of mud.
And it's quite a live topic as well, isn't it? This is something that's very much in the forefront.
It has been, and it's become a political issue. I just want to show people that on grass they make mud too.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
This was quite a wet period. What we find is that on the grass paddocks they don't mobilise as much soil.
Okay.
But it's far more mobile. It becomes a slop almost, this soupiness. Whereas the mud up there is sticky and it doesn't really move.
Okay. And that was Swedes, is it?
That was Swedes. We're going to head up there in a minute. That's sort of contrary to what a lot of people will tell you.
There is some runoff though, like that's
there can be.
In general, over winter for sure.
There's water running off that it's discoloured water, so it obviously has soil in it.
Yeah.
But we hear these stories and see these things about actual soupy mud flowing, and we just don't see it happen.
Not here, no.
There's probably a bit of good practice sort of things with that, but in the last sort of 5 or 6 years, I think the vast majority of winter grazers have done a really good job in making sure that just doesn't happen anymore.
Do you think that would have happened if there hadn't been this, legal pressure?
I think it would have. I don't think it would have happened as
fast. Okay.
Like there was always those. I guess I get quite defensive of it, having worked with the tail end of 40 years of all grass wintering, of no regrassing and no winter cropping, and people say, oh well, maybe you just needed to do a bit of regrassing. You run an all grass system for 40 years, or after 40 years, and you try to find a window where you don't need every paddock on the farm.
Yeah.
Your grass species just get quite tired, and it becomes really difficult.
This is the thing, like if in the UK we're looking at New Zealand as being this, putting it on a pedestal, the danger of that is we import everything. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yes,
and I think that's been a real revelation for me, is that there's so much good, we can learn, but we don't want to bring the bathwater with the baby. You know what I mean? We want to try and cherry pick as best we can.
Yeah, and by all means, like I think there's huge potential for winter grazing in the UK.
Yeah.
But it's just getting those management practices right and having those backup plans. Like most farmers these days, they have 3 backup plans. A lot of them now.
Yeah.
So, like for example, the cows on crop. They might have a feed pad situation. They might have some sort of shelter set up they can put them. They might have a rocky, bumpy paddock they can let them go on, where they might sort of disturb the soil a bit, but they're only going to go in that deep.
It's sort of gravelly, yeah. It's the nuances, just like with everything, isn't it? It's the detail.
What I thought would stop here, just to show you that they do still make mud on grass. It's not mud is not a winter cropping issue so much as it's a rain issue.
Yes. We do something about that bloody rain.
Yeah, because then we don't get it in the summertime either. But yeah, we have had close to 1/2 metre of rain this winter already, and that's not normal for us.
No.
So following the summer we had, it's to be expected, but it's still,
not handy.
Not enjoyable.
Right, this video is starting to get pretty long, as usual with a visit to Ben. We'll pick this up later on in the week when we'll cover arguably the most controversial topic in Kiwi farming. Don't want to miss it? Click that subscribe button and the little bell next to it, and you won't ever miss a video again. See you next time.